Now, we're not done with this topic on the table. Next one, John.
Yeah. Now what? I mean, who are the Padres going to sign now? I mean, they had all their eggs in one basket. Roki Sasaki.
Okay, let's talk about who's left out there. This will be unpopular, but this is the point that we are at. Padres need cost control over whomever they bring in. If you're subtracting Dylan Cease or Luis Ariz, is your team really good? Call Trevor Bauer. 83-54 career record, Cleveland and Cincinnati. Good pitcher, yes. Jerk, yeah. Exile from baseball for 2 years because of what he did, quote, sexual misconduct, though dude was never charged. Dude forfeited an unbelievable amount of contract money for being stupid. But since when has being stupid take you off a major league roster? Has he learned his lesson? He stayed out of trouble 2 years in a row. Call Trevor Bauer, 20-2 in Mexico and Japan the last 2 years while in exile. You agree or disagree? That fans forum chat box belongs to you people. If you don't use it, then nobody's going to know what you've got to say. Would you make a move on Bauer? Jack Flaherty is out there, Dodger pitcher, ex-Tiger, ex-Oriole, once upon a time really highly regarded Cardinal prospect, bounce back. Pretty good season, Detroit. Strong second half of the season, Dodgers. He did pitch well, playoffs versus Padres, but that's 1 year, $15 million. I just don't know whether or not they can get Flaherty. Marco Stroman's on the trade block because the Yankees have brought starting pitching in. Problem is 3 years left, $54 million. Yankees don't want to pay any of it. I don't see how the Padres could acquire him because they can't take on this contract because of what ownership has told the general manager. Sonny Gray in St. Louis, former Minnesota Twin, ex-Cincinnati Red, pretty good pitcher. Multi-year contract, big, decent dollars. I'd like to see them take a run at him, but he's not a power pitcher, and I just don't know if they can afford that. Luis Castillo, Seattle. They definitely want a bat. I would call and say, hey, you want to rise? You give me Castillo. But Castillo's got a monster dollar value attached to his contract. I don't think that happens. Max Scherzer, you can get him on a 1 year deal. He's coming off multiple injuries. He's got 200,000 miles on the arm. But if he could buy you a season of dependable starting, not as a lead guy, but maybe as the third or fourth or fifth guy, maybe I'd make that phone call. Chris Paddock, Minnesota, evidently on the trade block. However, there's a history, 2 elbow surgeries. When healthy, pretty good pitcher. Not healthy, it's an issue. John Gray, former Colorado Rocky, frontline guy. Not the dominant pitcher we all thought he would become. He's been in Texas. Now he's expendable. Steven Matz, former New York Met prospect, went to St. Louis. He's got a couple years left on his contract, but a lot of injuries. Unique one, Eric Fetty. Fetty was a failure, went to Japan, reinvented himself, came back, and he pitched pretty well. St. Louis, Milwaukee, Texas, maybe, although I don't know that he's dominant. And the last 2 names are Arizona Diamondback guys that they openly admit they made mistakes on. You know Jared Montgomery. You know Eduardo Rodriguez. Montgomery, Cardinals, Texas, Arizona, got a World Series ring. Rodriguez, ex-Detroit Tiger. They tried to trade him to the Dodgers. He refused to report. Guys bounced around. Both of them had injury problems last year, but the problem is in excess of $20 to $22 million per on each of those contracts. I don't see the Padres being able to afford that. So that's my opinion. If I were king, first of all, I'd give you the key so you join us in the chat box right now. If I were king, I would call on Trevor Bauer. I would take a run at Max Scherzer. Those are affordable contracts for different reasons, but maybe that helps you at 4 and 5 in the rotation in terms of depth. I'd love to see Flaherty, but he wants bigger money on a 1 year deal or maybe a 3 year deal. I don't know that the other guys are affordable. Maybe John Gray, but he's not a dominant pitcher. He's your 5th guy there. So John Riley, flash those names back up there. I'm calling Trevor Bauer, and I'd make a run at Max Scherzer. And John Riley, whose opinions sometimes are from left field, what does John Riley say?
I see 3 different Dodger castoffs on that list. Bauer, Scherzer, and Who was the other one? Flaherty. So, I mean, is that what we're going to do now? Are we going to be now the team that gets the dumpings of the Dodgers? I mean, I look at those names and I say, okay, these guys have had moments in their career. Are these guys going to win a championship? No, I don't think so. And,
no, but as an insurance policy, back end of the rotation, hell yes, that'd help you.
That would help, right? But I think in the case of Trevor Bauer, that makes a lot of sense. That he said he'd work for the minimum, right?
Yes.
So I think that makes a lot of sense to me. I'd go with Bauer for sure. But the rest of these guys, like, we're not going to take Chris Paddock back, and Sonny Gray. Yeah, he had his moments, but I don't think he's going to, win a championship for us. And they need to be subtracting money, not adding it.
Bauer's affordable. Scherzer probably is affordable. They've got to do something. I'm sorry, with apologies in advance. And I happen to like Waldron, and we saw flashes with Vasquez. The other guys are just back end of the pitching staff guys. None of those guys excites me. And if you have to trade Dylan Cease, what the hell are you going to have in your rotation now that they've lost the chance to get Sasaki?
How about Adrian Morahone, maybe converting him to a starter?
History of injury, though. He's always had injury problems as a starter.
Well, did he have any injuries last year? I know he was only used like an inning at a time, but I think he was all right. And who's the other guy? Homan, right? The guy we got from the Marlins. He's like a long reliever.
Yeah.
He could be stretched out. So there are options, but yeah, I mean, you don't want to depend on Matt Waldron either for this whole thing. So, yeah.
And I like Matt Waldron.
Oh, I do too.
Proved a lot for half a season. But that being said, call Trevor Bauer, make a run at Max Scherzer. At one point, John knows this very well. I keep lists. I have lists everywhere.
It's stacked your clipboard.
Got my clipboard stacked up on my wall next to my computer. I have index cards. At one point, I had like 55 pitchers' names. That's what's left on the horizon.
Well, yeah, except this like the really low end guys. I mean, these are like medium to higher tier.
These are established major leaguers for flash seasons, multiple years, etc. But a bunch of those guys have issues now, or they have issues with big contracts. And if you're a Padre fan, are you willing to sit there and accept a 119 backup catcher, Maldonado, and a 103 journeyman outfielder who's with 5 clubs last year, Nico Goodrum? That's your offseason acquisition? And you want me to believe that roster is going to be able to compete with that Dodger roster?
No.
We got issues here. So I'm giving you some sort of solution. Call Bauer, call Scherzer. Work some magic on a short-term deal or a 1-year deal with an option that would give them bigger bump money the second year if they have a good first year. I don't think I would touch any of those other guys. And like I said at the onset, if you're trading a Rise away or you're trading Cease away, you're subtracting something of real substance to your roster. John, I've spoken my part.
I really, honestly, I don't know what else to add to this. I mean, this is insane how the Dodgers are going radically to spend more, and the Padres are suddenly penny pinchers. So I saw a stack ranking of the Major League payroll numbers. I think the Padres are number 5, but they lost like over $100 million. So the whole thing is like upside down. I think we were like on a drug addiction when Peter Seidler was here, and he was spending all this money that really wasn't part of the revenue stream of the team.
Okay, we have put a couple of real hot topics on the table out of the gate. We urge you to join us on Fans Forum in the chat box. As soon as we're done discussing all these other issues, you're going to get your chance. We want first-timers, long-timers. Hey, want you to send a message to everybody in your address book. Hacksaw's doing a podcast for Dodger and Padre fans right now. You got to join. Have them get on the YouTube channel, and then you join us in Fans Forum afterwards. Oh, by the way, we're not done.